Okay, so get this. We're diving deep into Shivananda Lahari today, and wow, even just skimming it, the imagery blew me away. I mean,
Yeah,
snakes, tigers, lotuses, it's intense. But there's some serious philosophy under all that, so are you ready to unpack it all with me?
absolutely. And yeah, the imagery, is something else. What's
Hmm.
interesting, though, is you don't need to be a Hinduism expert to connect with this text.
Mm,
It really taps into that universal desire for connection, for peace, for something bigger.
totally. I felt that right away. It's like a direct line, and it even says anyone can tap into that. No matter your background, even your species, that's pretty out there even now.
It is. Sloka 10 really lays it out. Be it in a human form, be it in the form of gods. If always the mind is engaged in play of meditation in lotus-like feet,
Right.
then what does it matter? Whatever body we have. Imagine your job, your Instagram, none of it matters. Just your inner connection. That's what counts.
It's like it's saying drop the labels, forget the limits, and just connect. Speaking of focus, though, the text doesn't pretend inner peace is easy, does it? I mean, our world is basically distraction city.
Yeah. True, and it knows that. It compares the mind to a restless monkey, always distracted, jumping between thoughts. We've all felt that, right? That mental overload, especially these days.
Oh, totally. My mind's a whole barrel of monkeys sometimes, so how do we tame them? Asking for a friend, obviously.
Well, Shivananda Lahari says, fix your attention on Shiva, on his qualities. It's like this steady water erodes rock, right? So focusing on the divine, on Shiva's nature, it can quiet the noise, bring stillness.
Okay, that's beautiful and simple. I like it. But then it gets really interesting how Shiva's described, right? Not your average mountaintop kind of god.
You got it. Vivid and kind of shocking at times. We hear about snakes poison this wild dancing energy, not what people picture with spirituality.
Right, snakes. Poison. This god has a dark side. There's this line, the fierce flame-like poison which made all the courageous divas fear. Was it not kept on your tongue? Did it appear as pills from the citted doctor? Okay, wait, who are divas?
Good catch. Divas are like deities, divine beings. Powerful, but even they fear this poison. Then the Siddha doctor. Imagine healers with magic powers. They wouldn't touch this stuff.
Okay, that's next level potent. So how do we
Yeah.
make sense of this? Benevolent god, but also this raw power.
That's the core of Shivananda Lahari.
Yeah.
Those descriptions point to his immense power. It's beyond just good or bad creation or destruction. It's everything. The poison, the snakes, they're symbols. They show he can absorb even the worst stuff and transform it.
So not just peace and meditation, but transformation too, handling anything life throws at him and at us.
Exactly. Powerful message for us, right? Facing our own stuff.
Yeah.
If we tap into that all-encompassing transformative power, it can help us find peace even in chaos. We have the strength within to face challenges and come out changed.
So much there, and my mental monkeys are already planning their escape. But we gotta talk imagery. Seriously, tigers, elephants, lotuses, palaces. Oh.
It's a lot to process,
Yeah.
but trust me, it's not random. Each image, each symbol connects a greater philosophy.
Okay, good. Because I was starting to think I'd stumbled into some ancient Sanskrit poetry slam. Let's start with Sloka 6. This is the pot. No, this is only mud. Can all this debate ever cure the cruel god of death? Instead, worship the lotus-like feet of Shambhu. First who's Shambhu? And the pot and mud. What's it mean?
Great questions. Shambhu is another name for Shiva, emphasizes his peace and happiness. Now, the pot and mud, this verse is about Maya.
Okay, hold up. Before we go full Maya, for anyone listening who's not deep into Hindu philosophy.
You're right. Maya's tricky. It's about the illusion of the material world. The pot seems real, but it's just mud. We get caught up in illusions too, possession status. The verse says these are temporary, they'll have forms. True freedom comes from seeing past this, to the eternal, unchanging reality that Shiva represents.
Like, don't sweat the small stuff. See the bigger picture. I dig that. And speaking of imagery, lotuses pop up everywhere. What's with that?
The lotus is deeply symbolic in Hinduism. Grows in mud, but the flower stays pure. It's about spiritual growth. Rising above challenges the mud to become something beautiful.
Wow, that's powerful. Especially here. It's that transformative journey this prayer seems to encourage.
Exactly. Shivananda Lahari isn't just worship. It's a guide for inner transformation. It says look inward, face your own mind, and cultivate that deeper connection however you define it. And through that journey, that peeling back that we grasp, Kaivalya liberation.
You've mentioned liberation a few times now. What does it actually mean in Shivanandalari? Like, going to heaven after we die? Pearly Gates harps.
Great question. Gets to the heart of it all. Liberation here isn't just about after we die. It's about freedom while we're alive. Freedom from suffering, from craving, from the limits of our own ego.
So less a place, more a state of being. A shift.
Exactly. Recognizing that spark of the divine within us and living in alignment with that.
Makes sense. But the prayer also shows Shiva as a protector, lightening the load of life. That's comforting, especially since the text emphasizes taking responsibility for our spiritual growth. Like, we're not alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not passive devotion here isn't blind faith or asking for stuff. It's about actively cultivating that connection, letting it guide us through challenges.
More like a dance, then. We're participating, putting in effort. But there's support, too, Grace.
Beautifully put. Active work, but acknowledging that support. That brings us to Sloka 20, powerful metaphor. O Lord Shiva, who is everywhere, wanders my mind always in the forest of evil desires. O Lord, who bears the skull for begging, be pleased to take under your control my mind that like a monkey wanders without control in all directions, and tie it with the rope of your affection.
Wow. The mind as a wild monkey in the forest of desires? That's something else. Really shows how hard it is to tame our thoughts, especially now with so many distractions.
It does, and yet there's hope. Even with those struggles, it suggests that through devotion focusing on Shiva, we can start to control those thoughts, those desires pulling us every which way.
And through that control, maybe find some peace, purpose in the chaos.
Exactly. And isn't that what we all want? That peace, that feeling of something bigger.
For sure. Now, earlier you said each image connects to deeper philosophy. We talked about the lotus, but there are so many animals: tigers, elephants, deer, a rutting bull. What about those?
They often represent parts of ourselves, our inner landscape. The tiger, for example, with that fierce energy, it can be our primal instincts, desires that lead us astray.
And the bull, with its power and strength, would that be something more controlled, like overcoming obstacles or channeling that primal energy positively?
You got it. The bull is often linked to Shiva himself, his virility, his unconquerable spirit destroying ignorance. So Shiva riding the bull, it's about harnessing that power, conquering our demons, and using that strength to move towards enlightenment.
So even a simple image has so much meaning when we get the symbolism.
Exactly. Shivananda Lahari is so rich. It works on different levels. You can love the language, the images, but then there's this whole other dimension of philosophical meaning.
Like you said before, peeling back layers of an onion. But instead of tears, it's these insights into reality.
Love that. It's what we're doing, uncovering those gems, those aha moments that make you see things differently.
Speaking of aha moments, I've noticed this contrasting imagery. We talked about Shiva's duality, but it's more, there's this back and forth. Strength and softness, fear and devotion, darkness and light. Like, you can't have one without the other.
That's spot on. You get to this idea of the universe as a unified whole. Everything. It's all part of it. Nothing's separate.
Yeah.
Take Sloka 54, for instance, Shiva's cosmic dance. I pray the blue-necked god who is like a peacock, whose glittering dance excels with drum beats, like the thunder of the clouds, with the shifting sights of devas, like the bright changing lightning, with the happy tears from eyes of devotees, like the rainfall from the sky.
Hearing that, it's like I can see it. All these different things, thunder, lightning, tears, rain, coming together to create something beautiful and amazing.
Precisely. That's what Shivananda Lahari wants us to do. Embrace everything. See the divine in every aspect, even the hard stuff. It's understanding that those contrasts, those opposing forces, they're all part of a larger dance.
Powerful. And so relevant. We're drowning in information, different sides to everything. It's easy to feel lost. This idea of finding unity in the chaos, it's grounding.
Absolutely. Shivananda Lahari reminds us truth isn't always simple. Look deeper, embrace complexity, find that unity in the world and in ourselves.
It's about looking inward and connecting with that stillness within, that connection that can anchor us through anything.
Beautifully said. And that brings us back to liberation. Shivananda Lahari repeats that true devotion leads to this freedom, but it never gives us a step-by-step guide.
So no checklist. Meditate an hour, chant this BAM enlightenment.
No way. It's deeply personal, filled with challenges, setbacks, doubts. But ultimately, it's transformative. It's about that relationship with the divine, letting it unfold naturally.
So less about the destination, more about the journey itself, growing and discovering.
Exactly, and that's empowering. It's not just for a lucky few. We can all strive for it, here and now, through devotion, self-reflection, and being open to the fullness of life itself.
You know, thinking about this journey of liberation and self-discovery, that last verse of Shivananda Lahari, Sloka 100, it hit different this time, like a challenge almost.
I know, right? It's addressing the power of the prayer itself. The devotion in these words. It says, "Oh, Shambhu, all this praise I feel is enough, though I never wrote anything that is false. When Lord Brahma and other gods list all the great gods, they always put you as first. And when your devotees search for the greatest god, the other gods are moved away like the chaff from the grain, and you are reckoned as the best among best of all grains.
It's almost saying, okay, I've shared my heart, now it's your turn. Go experience this for yourself.
Exactly. That's the beauty of Shivananda Lahari. It's not about blindly believing. It's about your own journey, your own connection. You experience the truth firsthand.
And trust that the journey with all its ups and downs will lead us to something deeper.
Exactly. Shivananda Lahari suggests that this path to liberation isn't about strict rules. It's about being open, questioning, exploring, nurturing that connection.
So as we wrap up, I think the question is this. What does this all mean for you, the listener? Why should you care about Shivananda Lahari? What's the takeaway?
Because what we've talked about today, it's timeless, it's universal, it's about the human experience, finding peace, quieting your mind, searching for something bigger. This prayer, it's a guide for inner transformation. We all have that power.
It's about finding that freedom inside, embracing it all, the good, the bad, the messy, and recognizing that spark within each of us.
And that brings us to maybe the biggest takeaway. The journey to liberation is constant. It's not a finish line, it's lifelong. It's always unfolding.
It starts with a single step, a new perspective, being open to the possibility of something more.
So as you go about your day, think about this. What does liberation really mean to you? And what small step can you take right now to connect with that to something bigger, however it feels to you? Remember Shivananda Lahari? It's a starting point, but the journey is yours.
This has been such an incredible exploration. Thank you so much for guiding us through this amazing text and for sharing your insights with us.
It's been my pleasure, truly. These ancient verses have so much to offer us even today, and I hope our conversation inspires our listeners to dive in and discover their own meaning within Shivananda Lahari.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Shivananda Lahari. We'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections on this powerful prayer. Head over to our website or find us on social media to share your takeaways and connect with other listeners. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking that spark of the divine within you.